We are making a personal sized sweet potato pie. And in this process, what we're going to do is we're going to bake the potato. I know that there are some recipes that require you to boil them, but when I do that, for me, the process of putting it on the stove and cutting it up and peeling it and boiling it and watching it, and then sometimes they'll come out extra watery. That's not something that I want to deal with. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. So I'll actually poke some holes in it, add a little bit of olive oil, bake it for an hour at 420, and I've found that it comes out soft and pretty good, and that's what I roll with. So that's the process for this one. Next, I like to purchase a pie crust mix as opposed to buying a pre-made pie crust. One, it's something about those pre-made ones that they just don't come out right. They don't taste right. They're too thick. It's just something. They never really make my pies come out right, so I don't like them. And in this instance, we're making a smaller size anyway, so it wouldn't even work. So I'll take the pie crust mix, divide it into thirds, and just add the amount of just add water, add the amount that I need. So in this case, it's probably around 40 milliliters. So I also encourage you to get like a little small measuring cup beaker thing. That's what I did. Measured it out, kneaded it, worked it, got it to a nice little dough ball. And then at this point, now you want to flatten it out and roll it out and get it as flat as possible. So I'll just, keep working it, trying to get it as flat as possible without it breaking up. And then I think when it starts to get to the point where it's kind of trying to like break apart because it's so thin, then I'll just say, all right, I got it as thin as I could. Let's work with it. And once I get it there, then I'll add it to I have a 7-inch like deep dish pie crust bowl. So I'll just fit the dough within that bowl, press it in, and I'll cut off the edges, the excess on the edges. I'll just kind of clip that off with a spoon. And sometimes what I like to do is I'll take that extra, and it's just enough to fit like a little small size like ramekin bowl. And sometimes if I have a little extra with my potato, then I'll make like a little mini potato pie. So, but in this case, we don't need to do that. But you can if you want make a little extra. So now that the potato was done, full disclaimer, this is a different potato. The potato I had last time was not right. I picked a bad potato. So I found another one. It's the exact same size. It's 1 pound. Followed the same process. Came out nice and soft and smooth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a potato ricer. So I'm going to take my potato chunks, squeeze them in. It's like a giant garlic press. So you squeeze it in, scrape it off the top, then I'll catch the excess in a bowl, and then I'll wipe away like the stringy part that's remaining in there, and do that a few times. So like I said, squeeze it in, scrape off the top, catch the excess, and then scrape off the stringy stuff. That's why I like this process, because you can get the stringy stuff out of the sweet potato. And once you do that, then now we can add in all of our other ingredients and make this pie mix. So 2 tablespoons of butter. You can chop that up, put it in a couple pieces in there. Because the potatoes are still warm, it should melt very easily. There's 3/4 of a cup of sugar. You probably could do a little more if you want. I think that was half a cup, but you could do up to 3/4 if you want. Then you can add half a teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, and egg. And in this case, the size is so small, we only need half an egg. So my process is, find 2 bowls, make sure you get the eggshells out, and mix it all up, scramble it, and just eyeball, half of an egg, and then everything should work out just fine. These are all your ingredients. You mix that all together, and that's all you have to do. Once it's mixed together, then you have your sweet potato pie mix, and it's ready to go. So once that's all done, then you can grab your pie crust and add your mix. And in this case, fortunately, it actually worked out perfectly sized. But sometimes if you have like extra potatoes, then you can use that for like the extra little ramekin. But in this case, it actually worked out exactly fitting within this one. So one pie, it worked out perfect. You're going to bake that for 350 degrees. The instructions say for 60 to 80 minutes. What I did in this case is I baked it for 60 minutes, and then I cut the oven off and I let it stay in there for 20 more minutes. Then I pulled it out, let it cool for an hour. And now at this point, I like cold sweet potato pie. So we're going to put it in the refrigerator so we can get cold. But because it's not like fully room temperature, I'll put a piece of paper towel on top, and then I'll put the foil. And the reason why is because the tiny little bit of warmth will still like evaporate a little bit, and it'll catch the condensation. And if you don't do that, then it'll just be like water on top of your foil, and then it'll drip down on top of your pie. And I don't like that, so that's why I put the paper towel on it. And then this is how it'll come out. And at this point, now it's time to serve it and eat it. But my advice to you is to not use a butter knife like I did, because then it'll come out really rough. So what I had to do was actually slice a second slice for presentation purposes so that the edges don't look rough. But when you get a nice knife, it'll come out looking like this. And it actually will come out tasting great too. So this is the sweet potato pie. I encourage you to make it. And also, if you want to add a little extra razzle dazzle to it, you can throw a little whipped cream on top, and boom, there you go. You can serve it. It's a nice small size. For personal size, you don't have to share it. You can eat the whole thing and not feel guilty. So there it is. This recipe is available in a mini cookbook that I've made. It's called Dish, a non-cook's intro to making at least one thing. The link is in the description if you'd like to support. And thank you very much. Enjoy.